dear sisters. I was writing a post about something entirely different when the spirit babies made it very obvious that it was time for me to talk more about self love. Because invariably, when I'm doing any kind of reading, whether it's a universal one or a personal one, or if I'm getting any kind of message whatsoever, it always comes back to the same thing, and that is the theme of self love. Now, I say this in but I'm going to say it again right now, right here, because it's important for you to know, understand, and remember. If you are watching this video, if you are on my site at all, it's because you, dear sister, have a very special role. And your role is to be a new Earth Mama. And what does that mean? It means you're anchoring a new consciousness, one that has nothing to do with the consciousness that we were raised in. And this is a very special role because we have within us this seed of remembering. Um, and what I do is I help water that seed a little bit so it can blossom, but it's all you. But your spirit babies want that seed of remembering to really, really blossom now. And that seed is self-love. It really all comes down to self-love because with self-love, anything is possible. I talk about limitlessness on many areas on my site because that is the energy of the spirit baby realm, limitlessness. Limitlessness is also the energy of self-love. So the reason self-love is so important to the spirit babies is because that is the energy they're coming from. It's the energy we came from, but they're going to bring more of it here. They need more of that energy here. In fact, we are building this new earth on self-love. That's the bricks, that's the foundation. Without each of us having love for ourselves, nothing will flourish. And we have to love ourselves unconditionally first before we can love anybody else, even our spirit babies, even though we do feel all this love for them. But because of cultural consciousness, the way we were raised, the way our parents were raised, the way generations have been raised, it's the rare person that really truly knows self-love. And so that is why we are a very important generation. Um, there is the weight of the world on our shoulders, the weight of the new world. That's the bad news. But the bad news is really not bad at all because this weight is not heavy at all. Self-love gives us wings. So we don't have the weight of the new world, we have the wings of the new world. And that's what these babies want us to flourish within ourselves. So we can nurture it more when our babies are here. And even after they're here, if you already have children, your children are also teaching you about unconditional love. My children have taught me so much about unconditional love because they come from it. That's all they know. Look how they love us unconditionally. They they teach me how to love them. When I'm in a bad mood, you know what they do? They love me. They don't try and fix me. They don't try and heal me. They don't try to change me. They love me, and that changes me. So it is the self-love that will change us, and it's so important, and that's why I'm doing this right now. So let's just get down to it. How do we love ourselves? It sounds easy. Oh, just love yourself. It's not easy. Holy shit, it's not easy. Um, but the most basic principle when it comes to self-love is trusting yourself in every way. And I'm going to talk about our feelings. Our feelings give us many, many, many opportunities to learn to fully trust ourselves. Our feelings are important. And again, I say this in many places on Love from Baby, but even though we are spirit beings, we are having a human experience. And in this human experience, we came here to experience the range of human emotions. So one of the things we have to do as we're learning to love ourselves unconditionally is to stop judging
our feelings. That is the very most basic fundamental principle of self-love, is to stop judging your feelings. We live in this culture that talks about happiness. And if you're not happy, there's something wrong with you. Well, let me tell you, there's something wrong with that notion. We are not meant to be happy all the time. There will come a time when you're fully immersed in self-love that you are peaceful all the time. You are accepting and content with what's going on. That's a different sort of thing. But this notion of being happy all the time, it's just not true. And people fake it. You know, there's something wrong with you if you're feeling this way, or blah, blah, blah. You have to go on a drug if you're manic depressant. And you know, we're drugged so we don't feel our full range of emotions, when our full range of emotions are here to teach us and to guide us. I am going to recommend a video here that I have recommended in other places. And the video is called Emotional Oneness by Matt Kahn, M-A-T-T-K-A-H-N. You can find it on YouTube. Emotional Oneness. He talks about how to reparent your inner child, and it really is all about self-love. I remember when I first watched that, I reacted and like, oh, inner child stuff, that's so cliche, but it's really, really important now more than ever that we learn how to reparent that inner child in us, so we know how to parent our children as they come. It's all about unconditional love. It was a year ago, September 28th, I believe, 2014, that I truly, actually it was the solstice, it was the equinox. Oh, who cares about the date? But it was the fall equinox last year that I had this dream that showed me the power of self-love. And from that point on, I knew my spiritual journey was singularly focused. Like, I don't have to learn how to attract that. I don't have to learn how to manifest this. I don't have to learn how to overcome that. You know, it just became very singular focused on self-love because I saw the power in it. We are untouchable with self-love. And thus began my self-love boot camp. It's been 1 year now that I have been marinating and just fully immersed in doing nothing else but loving myself. And it does all start with our emotions. So I'm just going to tell you a little trick on how to welcome your emotions. And Matt Kahn, I do believe, goes into this. It's an hour video for him, and it's free, it's priceless, it's invaluable. I highly recommend it for more information on how to reparent yourself, how to love that inner child. But for me, I looked at myself as like a house, you know, and these emotions would come knocking. And if it was a good emotion, I would let it in. Oh, come on in, joy and happiness. Let's party. If it was a bad emotion, I would pretend I wasn't home. Oh, sadness is knocking. I'm not home. That doesn't work. That does not work. That represses it, so it keeps coming back. Anything you repress will just keep coming back more forcefully and more forcefully until you deal with it. So dealing, managing, embracing, accepting all your emotions is the most important step of self-love. And so what I had to do, sadness came knocking, knock, 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 I am sad. Oh, hello, sadness. Come on in. You're important and I love you, and oh, I can feel your heaviness, and you know what? We can handle you. We can handle you. You are so important. You are so loved, and you just stay here as long as you need to. And loving that feeling, loving it, even though it was heavy and it hurt. It took the suffering away. It takes the suffering away. I still have to do this, but I'm very good at it now. So instead of looking at the bad days like, oh God, it's another bad day, it's another bad feeling, you know what? The more you let it in, it's not a bad day anymore. It's a bad few moments. It's maybe a bad hour or a bad morning, but it turns around quicker and it doesn't keep coming back more forcefully because you can accept it and embrace it. So no matter what the feeling is, Oh, jealousy's coming. Oh God, oh, jealousy scares me. But come on in, jealousy. You're important and you're beautiful and I love you. And just love that emotion. Just love it. Know that it's here for a reason, and that reason is to be loved. Just love it. So that is the most important thing you can do when you're loving yourself, is to welcome every single emotion as important and as beautiful and as something that you're supposed to experience. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a feeling you're having right now. And if we don't resist it, if we don't look away, I'm not going to say it doesn't last as long, because we don't want to send it away. We really just want to embrace it and keep it in love. That's what transmutes it. So it's not about a releasing. A lot of the new age stuff is about releasing this and releasing that, sending it away. Release, I let go. No, 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 no. With self-love, you let it in. You let it in. You embrace it. You accept it. I'm afraid. Oh, I'm so afraid. And feel into it. What's it feel like? Oh, I was feeling lack the other day. I was feeling lack. And as I let in lack, I could see that lack was wearing these tattered clothing and had these ball and chains around its ankle. And it just was very heavy and very lifeless and very sad, very tired. Feel it and love it and tell it how important it is. That on its own, sister, is life-changing. It really is. And the better you get at it, the easier it becomes. And these bad days, they turn into just bad moments. Seriously, you can turn it around just like that. And it's not by releasing it, it's by embracing it. That, I think, is the most important step of self-love, because when you can embrace it, you don't judge it anymore, okay? If you're judging a feeling, you're judging yourself. And self-judgment has nothing to do with self-love. So if you can honor every emotion, every feeling, embrace it and love it, that is part of trusting yourself. So if you can trust your feelings, you don't even have to analyze the feeling. That's another thing. We can get caught up with the new age stuff of, oh, why am I feeling this? Oh God, it goes back to my childhood and now I have to talk to my mom about that, and oh my God, that's just going to be drama. And you know what? Forget the analyzing. We don't have to do that anymore. We can get stuck in analyzing. It's called paralysis of analysis. You don't have to analyze. You don't have to do anything. Just let it in and embrace it. If it's something you do have to address, then you will know. It'll be very forceful and compelling, but it's not necessary with every single emotion. You don't have to analyze it, and you don't have to think, oh, I'm lonely because this person did that to me. No, 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 no. You know what? That person is being your partner right now and helping you feel this thing that has to be embraced. So that's another thing. Don't be a victim anymore. And this is radical forgiveness. And there's another fabulous resource which is life-changing, and it's called Radical Forgiveness. It's a book. I believe the guy's name is Colin Tipping. But when you can look at another person who might be doing you harm, or who's pissing you off, or just not treating you the way you want to be treated, that person is actually being a partner with you. So his or her higher self has partnered up with your higher self, and you said, okay, we're going to enact this little scenario, and it's really going to push your buttons. And that person is pushing your buttons. So you can embrace the feelings that it's bringing out with you as being perfect and right, and there's nothing you need to do about it. Even if it's something really horrendous, the more horrendous the deed, think of this, the more love between the higher selves. I'm not going to get too much into this because it can cause some bristling, but I do recommend also the book Radical Forgiveness. But someone did something horrendous to me, and when I like to have what I call a round table meeting of the higher selves. So that night I went to bed, I pictured my higher self with her higher self, and if you can really tune into it, really expand your vision, you can see the color of that person's higher self. Hers was this beautiful blue, And it was just this thing that we agreed to do. So even though I never want to see her again in real life ever, I am able to not even, I don't even have to forgive her because I know she's fulfilled her purpose. This is something I wanted to experience for my soul's growth. And so she partnered up with me just for a little brief time through love. On the other side, there's nothing but love. It was through love she did this horrendous thing to me so I could experience it and so I could embrace it. And when we look at it in that way, there is nothing to forgive. If we look at it in a victim way, that is just going to keep repeating itself through different people, through different people. So say you had an abusive relationship with your father. If you take an expanded view of it and realize it's helped made you the person you are, you chose to have these experiences for whatever soul's growth, for karmic clearing, then you can move on. That slate is cleared. If you hold this grudge and you make it define you and you're a victim, then you're going to repeat it with boyfriends or husbands or bosses. So that's another huge thing when it comes to self-love, is looking at every person as a player out of love. And if you can look at it as they're just bringing forth the experience and the feeling, the experience to be cleared, the feeling to be embraced, then there is nothing to forgive. That doesn't mean you have to like that person. That doesn't mean you have to talk to that person. But it means on a higher level, you understand the role that's been playing, and you are not a victim. You're never a victim. It's just too much to get into in one short reading. But if we can look at that, so trusting our emotions, trusting everything that happens to us as part of our soul's growth, even and especially the crap. You know, I talk about celebrating the crap on my blog. The crap, I tell you, it's like a spiritual frog leap. So you can take baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. But if something bad happens, even it's not bad, it's what you've chosen to take a spiritual leap. So trust that as well. Look for the gift in it. There's gifts everywhere. Everything that's happening to you is what you've chosen for your soul's growth. So those are very, very basic, fundamental building blocks on how to love yourself. The trusting of your feelings, embracing them. You're never a victim, and looking at other people as partners in your experience. And I'm wanting to get off on more tangents, but I'm being told no, that's enough right now. Because I want to talk more about, just trusting yourself above all else. So I will end on that note. Self-love is about trusting yourself above all else. Part of our journey on self-love is unlearning everything that we've been taught, all of the social, cultural conditioning. It is conditioning. It doesn't speak of self-love at all. Our cultural conditioning is based on lack of money, lack of friends, lack of love, lack of resources, lack of health, lack of whatever. That is cultural conditioning, and I would love to say it's a lie, but it's not a lie. It's a very true part of our experience. The lie is that that's all there is. That's the lie. That's not all there is. Whatever there's lacking, there's also on the other end a huge abundance. So if you can trust yourself before all else, you can unplug from the lack conditioning and then re-plug in to the abundant birthright that is ours, because it is ours. And the key there, sister, is the self-love. Self-love will unlock your abundance of wealth, of love, of creativity, of inspiration, of relationships and friends and community and whatever else you want. The key is self-love. I'm going to recommend here another video because I want to talk about the things in that video. It's my Working with the New Energy video, which is available on the Spirit Baby reading page. But that also will talk a little bit more on working with the new energy, and the new energy is self-love. So I recommend that because I keep wanting to talk about it, and they're like, no, 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 that's enough. That's enough. But I am going to pause for a minute because I just feel like there's one other thing that I want to say. So let me just pause for a minute. It has to do with the judgment. Okay, so when we don't judge ourselves, then we can easily stop judging another. And that is amazingly free. And I do talk about this a little bit on the new energy thing, and I'm just going to mention it here because it is very important and it is very freeing. But when you can look at your path as perfect, if you can trust in yourself in each moment that you're having the exact experience that you've chosen, then you'll stop judging yourself of, "Oh, I really should be doing this, and I shouldn't be doing this," and the shoulding stops. And when you stop judging your choices and your feelings, you can also stop judging another person's, and that is amazing. We judge people because we're not comfortable with our own choices. When we are comfortable with our own choices, then we know that they are appropriate and the exact thing that we're supposed to be doing, then we will stop judging others as being wrong. Because in this new energy, in this energy of self-love, there is no right and wrong. There is no one path. We can honor our path as being exactly appropriate for us. And in that way, we can acknowledge another person's path, even though it's very, very different from what we would do, as being their exact path. And that is an amazing freedom of self-love, is not having to judge yourself against someone else. Imagine not having to compare yourself to anyone else anymore. Huge freedom, huge freedom. I feel like there's so much more. But again, I'm just being told that that's enough for now. So maybe I'll do a part two, self-love part two. But if we just start with those fundamentals right now, it's an amazing thing, even just starting with the feelings, and then everything else will open up for you as it's supposed to. And the benefits of self-love, let me just talk about that briefly. The benefits of self-love is this limitlessness. With self-love, there is nothing to fear or worry about anymore. Can you imagine that? If there's nothing to judge yourself against, if there's nothing to compare yourself, there's nothing to should yourself, what if you just listen to that voice, listen to your heart? What if you just listen to that, the voice of your inner child, and that will lead the way for you. But there's nothing to fear, and there's no rules, and it's just all you. It's all you creating this new world, and that's when you really start to come alive. It's when you really start to come alive. So focus on that for you. Let in the emotions, trust them, embrace them, trust every experience as the experience you're supposed to be having. Don't judge yourself at all, ever. No guilt, no regret. Every choice you make is the exact choice you should be making. Can you imagine just letting yourself be right no matter what you do? This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Even if someone else is going against you, that person's right too. That's self-love. My husband and I are fighting, and I'm right and he's right, and it's right that we're having this fight, and it's beautiful. That's self-love. So focus on that. Open yourself to that. Open yourself to it. And all the other doors will start opening for you too. This is the most important thing the babies want you to do, is to love yourself, because then you can truly, truly love them in the way that will help them blossom to their fullest degree, because you're blossoming too. That's all I got for you. I love you. And I love me too.